Now, I know that for some of you, one of your plans for this year is to improve financially, get a hold of your finances, and put your house in order when it comes to like your finances. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that I do to keep track of my finances and to keep my finances in check. And I should also say this is probably the first video in a couple of series on personal finance. So just stick with me, click on the subscribe button if you've not, like the video, and let's get into the video. Now, if you like videos like this, say on personal finance or on tech, go ahead and click on the subscribe button, and remember to click on the like button, and don't forget to share. Thank you. So I think before I show you how I keep track of my finances, it's very important that I talk about why you might want to keep track of your finances. I know a lot of you is like, oh, I want to be a millionaire. It's like, oh, hold on, right? But I think, like I said, the first thing is to know why you are keeping track of your finances. Now, if you don't have a budget or you don't keep a budget, and you've like watched a couple of videos of financial videos online, you've probably seen a lot of people say, oh, create a budget. And you're like, where do I start from? Like, what do you do to like create a budget? Because you don't even know how much you're making, especially if you're not getting like a monthly pay, or you don't even know how much is leaving your account. So you can't even say, this is what I'm going to budget for, and this is what I'm not going to budget for. So by keeping track of your finances, at least the first month or the first 2 months, you can be able to then see, oh, this is what I'm spending on, and this is how much I'm spending on each category. And then you can use that to create a budget. And then by also keeping track of your finances, you can use that to cut back on places that you might be spending too much on. For example, last year, I used to buy my data plan like 3 times a month, and then I just like pay a huge amount of money. But when I started keeping track of my finances, and I saw that this was how much I was spending on data, and this was the amount of data that I was getting, that way I could say, oh, I could actually subscribe for a higher data plan for a lower price and be able to like cut back on my expenses. So by keeping track of your finances, you can cut back on your expenses. And also, by keeping track of your finances, after you've created a budget, you can check and see where you are missing out on your budget, and you can use that to like stick to your budget. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is some of the ways that you might probably have been keeping track of your finances, and one of them work and one of them is probably not very efficient. Now, before, what I used to do is that at the end of the month, I take my bank statement and then I try to go through it. I say, oh, this is how much I spend, this is how much I have, because my bank statement then used to have your total income, like what came in and how much you spent, right? That technically does not give me a very solid idea of where my money is going. I just know, oh, this is how much I'm making and this is how much I'm spending, but I really did not have an idea of where each money was going, like where each amount was going. And another problem with that is that you have like 6 or 10 pages. For example, I used to have like 10 pages for my bank statement, and I'm like, where should I start from, right? So that might not be very, very efficient. Now, if your bank, which is one thing that my bank is currently doing now, is that on my bank app, I sort of have my expenses and it's broken down into categories. If your bank does that, I think you might just want to go ahead and start using that, and that's no problem. But if your bank does not do that, I would say that you might want to stick around and see the way that I keep track of my finances. So let's get into that, and you can get started on keeping track of your finances the right way. Now, this first step is probably going to take you like 2 or 3 minutes. So I think you might just want to take some time to like do it. Now, what I do is that I go to Google Form. It's like free. You just go to forms.google.com. The link will be somewhere, forms.google.com, and then you create a new form, and then you come to this page. Now, you want to, depending on what you want to keep track of or how you want to keep track of stuff. Usually what I do, as you can see from this, is that I have like an expense tracker. The month, this is used to like keep track of my daily expenses, and then I have the amount, I have the item that I want to keep track of. That way, sometimes if I want to check, oh, even though this thing is in like travel category, what does that mean, right? So I have the item, then I have the amount, and then I have the categories. And I do this because I only want to keep track of my expenses. Your income does not come in once, or like you are not exactly sure how much you make per month. You can also have like a section where you have income expenses, and then you can make this not required and make that income expenses required. That way you can be able to like map it out. We'll get there and I will show you what I mean. Now, after you created this form, the next thing you want to do is that you want to go to your responses. Now, I should say that this next, you might technically just stop here and not do anything after, but I also like to like get some graph and get some things. But for Google Forms, you actually do have this pie chart and this graph that shows you, oh, this is what category you are spending. This, you are spending 33% on this category and all this. But this even doesn't like give you a total of how much you're making, right? So which is why I click on the form and then I click on link to sheet. So when you click on link to sheet, then you want to say create a new sheet, and then you click on create. What that does for you is that it links your form to a Google Sheet, such that anytime you add an item to, which I will still show you how to do that, anytime you add an item to your form, it automatically just shows in your Google Form. Say I have an item, and then I do item, and then I have an amount, and then I choose a category, say entertainment, and then I click on save. When you go to your untitled form, you see this automatically just adds to your form, which is really the beauty of what I'm trying to show you, right? So you use that to like keep track, and then it adds it to your form. And then one sweet thing you can do is that you can do a total to know how much you are spending. Now, if you say you also keep track of your income here, you might want to do this in like some way. But say you are only doing the way that I do, you want to say you have a total, and then you just do sum. So you do sum C1 to C. Right, what that does for you then is that anytime you add a new amount, it just gives you like a total of it. Like, you want to make sure that you don't put this under, it's even going to throw an error, because it's like you have a loop, right? You have like a dependency depending on another thing, right? So now that you are keeping track of it, after a month, then you have something like this that has like a list of the things that you spent on, and then you have the total. And I should say at this point that you shouldn't have to wait till the end of the month to come and check what your total is, right? That way you can see whether you're on track or not. Now, if you have this, you can do a pie chart or whatever you want to do. Now I go to insert, say I want to like have an histogram, I think that's what it's called, and then I want to go to a column chart. So it's called a column chart here, and then you want to click on a column chart, right? You want to say what data range you want to do. So usually you just want to select the suggested one, which is like use everything. So it's going to consider every data in that data range. Now, what then do you want to keep track? You want to keep track of your amount and your category. You want to chart of your amount and your category. So here you come here, you do an amount, right? And then you come here, you want to then remove this, and then you want to add the x-axis. So you have the series, but you want to add the x-axis. The x-axis is the category. Now you can see that you have transportation, but everything is listed up, which is not what you want. So you want to click on aggregate. What aggregate does is that it gives you how much you are spending in each category, right? So you have, on transportation, you have this. Now, to make it easier for you to like see, you want to go to customize, and you want to go to your series, and then you want to click on data labels. So data labels then adds how much you're spending on each category. So on transportation, May last year, I spent like 9,350 naira on this, and then on eating out, which I was doing a lot, then I spent like 69,000, right? So this way you can keep track of that. Now you've done this initial setup, which is what you want to do. Then the next thing you want to do, which is going to make life very easy for you, because you always don't have a computer to like input your expenses. Now what I do is that I copy the form link. So I have this form, and then I want to copy this link and send it to my phone, right? So you want to copy this link. There are different ways you can do this. You can just copy this and send it to your phone somehow, right? Get this link to your phone browser. Now when you get to your phone browser, you want to open this link on your phone, and then for a number of phones, if you click on the share on the phone, you'll see something like add to desktop, or add to home screen, or install. If you are using an Android, you probably see install. Now, when you click on that, what that does is that it adds this form, is sort of like an application on your home screen. That way, it's easier for you to like access it. As you can see, you click on the home screen, you click on the icon that it has added for you, and then it takes you straight to the form, and then it takes like 3 seconds to like quickly type in what your expenses are. That way, immediately you spend something, it just takes like 3 seconds to like track it out, and then immediately you add that expenses, you can see it in this form. And I really hope this can be like the first step you are taking in keeping track of your finances. If you have any question, or you want me to record any video on personal finance, or you want me to talk about some of my saving strategies or my investment strategies, go ahead and drop a comment and I will respond to that. If you have watched this video so far, thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye.